All right, folks, you're all very welcome to this, the unboxing and initial impressions of the Klim Krios Pro Adventure Dual Sport helmet. Full disclaimer, just before we kick things off, this is not a sponsored post. I'm not being paid for my opinions, and it's important to state that because, you know, elephant in the room time, this is a €700 helmet, so Klim taking a square aim at some of the top tier rivals like the RIX4, the Shoei Hornet, the GS Adventure spec helmets. So hopefully in this video we'll go through some of the features on this helmet, some of which I think are really cool and, dare I use the word, revolutionary. And at the end of the video, hopefully it'll have helped you make up your mind whether or not you think the helmet is worth the price tag, which is pretty steep. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so let's break down the contents. So first out of the box is the detachable peak that comes with the Krios. What's the color scheme on this called again? Rally Striking Orange. So fingers crossed it'll go well with the KTM Adventure. Put that down there. Actually just put down something to protect the helmet. What else have we got? We have got an included pin lock, important, vital component of any helmet really. I don't own a helmet without a pin lock. They're that good. No one has time for lenses and visors fogging up anymore. There is a visor, clear visor. But it doesn't say transitions on it. I'll come to that in a second, but look, we'll just set that aside for now. We have some extra levers for the side, it looks like. This is a toolless visor removal and peak removal system, which we'll look at later on. Have some high-vis stickers, which I believe are mandatory in places like France. Not required here in Ireland. The guarantee card, a card about the Koroyd technology, which we'll talk about. Some bump, patented magnetic lock, again something we're going to touch on, called the fidlock system. This is the fidlock. This is what I'm particularly excited about because I think this is pretty cool. Whoa, Jesus! Don't lose it before you've even taken it out. Yeah, again, some extra knobs, it looks like, for the top of the visor of the peak and the side for the visor and peak removal mechanism. So pop them all back in the box or back in their bag before we lose them. Oh, a little plastic washer. I don't know what that's for. So just pop everything back in the bag before we lose it, because that's what happens. And now, main event. Oh, most awkward helmet lift ever. So, Klim branded helmet bag. Wow, that is light. That is super light. That is so light. That's actually surprising. Okay, yeah, so look, there's actually a visor already on it, obviously, and this is the transition lens. So the first thing we'll talk about is exactly that. So on my daily driver lid, for example, which is my RI chaser, I have the RI half tint visor system. So this just eliminates the need to carry two visors, so I can have this up during nighttime or dark riding, and I've no problem with tint. But then in sunshine, forward and down, pull that down, and you have a tinted visor and protection from glare, etc. So it's quite handy. Klim have included this transitions visor, which is a visor that is chemically coated and reacts to ultraviolet light, so obviously sunlight. What happens is, if you remember back, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, the big thing in eyewear and glasses was these transition lenses that would be normal glasses with your prescription, but they were coated so they would turn dark in sun. So you'd have sunglasses the whole time. Never really took off as much as they thought it would, I don't think. But very interested to see how this works in the real world, because again, it just cuts down on the need to carry two visors. So that's a transition visor. That is a standard visor if you don't like the transition visor, so that's cool. It's good that they've included both. And I know, I believe this, if you buy it for other Klim helmets, is something like €150. So already out of the €700 price tag, you're starting to see where your money's going. But I have to be perfectly honest, I am pretty impressed by how light it is. I mean, that's the most obvious thing where your money's going. This is really light. And again, the reason I'm going for a dual sport adventure helmet is on the KTM, the rare time I do get to go out in it and do some light off-roading, when you start to work hard in like a forest or on a track or something like that, you're not long getting very, very warm. And the Arai, I found myself like getting really hot really fast, even with the vents open, because the Arai is a street/race helmet. I think the venting is designed for high speed, rapid airflow, whereas you're not really going flat out in a forest. You're kind of moving along. You're more working physically, and that's where the heat is coming from. So yeah, looking for an adventure helmet, and the Krios is always top of a lot of people's list, due to a lot to the massive front vent, which is supposed to give a lot of airflow into the helmet. And then also, the brow vent, small as they are supposed to channel air to the back air vents on the spoiler, which again looks pretty cool. And actually, if you look inside the helmet, I don't know if you can see that, but the skull cap is slightly sitting off of the actual shell of the helmet. So that's really cool. And actually, just snap this out. Probably give you a better view. We'll try that with the light. So hopefully you can see that. You can see the skull cap is slightly sitting off. And you'll notice the green weave pattern that is the actual at the back of the helmet. That's a system called Koroyd. And it's a system that has been brought in from the cycling world, believe it or not. Whoever thought cyclists would be benefiting motorcyclists. But it's basically like a honeycomb stacked straw system. And the idea behind it is, on a standard helmet with an EPS shell, when you impact something and it compresses, the more it compresses, the less give it has in it. The less give it has in that EPS shell. Whereas a Koroyd, it's supposed to compress at a consistent rate. So it's meant to protect your skull and your brain, which, if we're all honest, is just bouncing around inside your head. So I'm very interested to see, I have no intentions of crash testing this, but it's good to know that there are people looking at new technology. So that's the Koroyd, the transitions visor. The weight again, just to mention, you might not have seen it, but the helmet is carbon fiber, and that's why it's so light. This lid, right? So this is a medium-sized helmet. There are 2 shell sizes for the Krios, and then there's 7 sizes overall. The extra small to medium is 1.3 kilograms, and then the medium to triple XL is 1.4 kilograms. So in comparison to the helmets it's competing against, like the Arai X4 is 1.7 kilos, and the Shoei Hornet is 1.6. I don't know what the GS Adventure helmet is offhand, but what I'll do is I'll look it up and I'll throw it up on screen now. Okay, so the last innovative thing I want to talk about is this fidlock system, which is, in my opinion, really cool, and one of those things that I hope will become more commonplace. Instead of the traditional double D-ring system that a lot of helmets have, you have a simple tab here with a little magnet on it and a metal plate here that's also magnetic. And all you do is pull the strap anywhere near it and it snaps into place. And then it's tight, it's not going anywhere. But then to remove it, all you do, pull the red tab, it lifts and pulls away. This is brilliant if you put on your helmet, you have your gloves on, and you've forgotten to button up. Anyone who has tried to secure a double D-ring helmet with gloves on, especially winter gloves, will know it's an impossible task, and you're just better off taking your gloves back off, unzipping your gear, and then securing your helmet. The magnets are just to tie it all together. Once it's there, it's held in place by friction. It's not going to come loose. Like I'm actually giving it, I'm pulling up on it and back and down. It's not moving. The magnets literally are to get them to align, and once it's in place, it's going to hold. And when you pull it off, it opens straight away. I mean, this is an ECE certified helmet, so it has been tested and approved. I know ECE 2205 is a bit old hat now, but there is a new 2206 version of the ECE testing coming in 2024. But for now, I would have no qualms using this on the road, which I will do. So if you're going for a helmet, obviously I would always advise going into an actual bricks and mortar shop and getting tried on. The helmet shape, the shell shape, is an oval shape, which may not suit everybody's head. So it's important that you physically walk in and try a helmet on in person. Just means you can try it on for fit and change anything you need. So if the fit isn't perfect or as comfy as you would like, there are different cheek pads available, so obviously best to go to a Klim dealer who would have those cheek pads in stocks, and you get sized up and fitted correctly. Yeah, also it's important to note this isn't devoid of EPS at all. It's just like if I move the skull cap out of the way here, you can see that there is an EPS partial shell in there. It's just not solid, and it's sitting above the choroid. So let's see, is there a gap? No, it's actually sitting on the choroid construction itself, but it's not a full EPS shell the same way that would be in my RI, for example. So, to recap, what do I like about it? Well, number one, the weight. It weighs practically nothing, and anyone who has worked hard on an off-road bike all day will tell you it can get pretty tiring if your head bucket is heavy and weighing on you. Lighter weight means less fatigue, less exhaustion. The venting, very interested to see how this works and how it holds up in the real world. Like that is a pretty big front vent, kind of, yeah, reminiscent of like an MX helmet. Klim themselves coming from the Americas and originally started out in snowmobile and snow gear, I believe. So they're taking the lessons learned there. Snowmobile, bit of a bigger machine compared to a motorbike. Not sure how well the venting in the front is going to work. The inlets are quite small. You can see it there compared to what you would see on other helmets. But the exit vents are quite large, so I'd hope that air is pulled out by negative pressure. There is also vents on the side down here as well for that air going through, pulling around, and then out the back as well. Very interested to see how the transitions visor works. I'm wondering how quick it's going to react to sunlight, and especially how quick it'll switch back from tint to clear. Because you know yourself, if you are riding along in the sunshine and you hit a dark tunnel, you don't want to be wearing full tint. You'll have to, now it's not a big deal, you just slow down, crack the visor. That's what I would do if I was wearing a normal helmet with a standard tinted visor on. But yeah, interested to see how quickly it reverts back to its clear state. The visor itself is actually toolless removal. It's just these knobs here, 1 and 2, and also toolless installation and removal of said peak. So let's actually give that a go now and see how easy it is for a first-time user. Also worth mentioning that there are a number of ways you can run the helmet. So this is pretty much called street mode, where there's no peak, visor installed. You can install the visor, run it in adventure dual sport mode, which would be, off-road touring, etc. You can remove the visor, leave the peak in place, and use goggles, which would be like MX mode. And then if you were so inclined, you can remove the peak, remove the visor, and run goggles. Although I don't know anyone who would do that. But anyway, there it is. So as mentioned, this is supposed to be a toolless installation and removal of the visor and the peak. So let's get to it. So two tabs on the side, one either side here. Two spares as we saw in the package earlier on. So we just push down until the tab is down. And wow, that's stiff out of the box. Hopefully it'll loosen up a little bit with use. Jesus. Now, just give it a little wiggle and out it will come. So that passes through. Just holds this little cover, which you use when you're not running the peak. And when you remove that, you can see the visor mechanism and how it's supposed to mount. So there's a little tooth or a little catch right there that the teeth are meant to slot into. And then the visor is supposed to rotate on this mechanism here. So once that's in place, you'll be fine. And then just the same thing the other side. So little wiggle to release it. Oh yeah, and there, it's just come off altogether. These little tabs, let's have a look. They are site specific, it looks like, because they have a different, because the inserts are different. Okay, so that's important to note. So we'll keep those separate to avoid confusion. Okay, and on the top here, there is a small knob which will hold the peak in one of two positions, low or high. And that is a large Phillips head screw, but it's like, I've never seen a Phillips head that big, so I assume it's meant to be, you use a coin, or I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking of like the bottle opener and a penknife would be ideal. So let's find something that's not going to scratch it up. All right, it's the largest flathead I have at the moment. Oh yeah. That is, that's much easier to remove than the side pieces. So just to note, there is a note on Klim's website about not running the transitions visor with the peak, because what happens is when it's up, light gets through here and you get spotting on the visor. But like, I'll be honest, I still want the transitions visor on it, so I'll run it, and in the follow-up review video of how it actually is in the real world, we'll see how bad it is. So that's it in low, and then if you put it back once, it's in high. High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. Let's try low for the first time. Okay, even though it is a metal thread, I don't think it's actually holding any weight. I think all the support is going to come from these side pieces. So let's line up the peak. Push in. Okay. And the other side. There we go. And just lift the tab up. Wow, again, this is really stiff. I suppose this is the first time it's been used. Okay. Yeah, I've just noticed there's two tabs, one either side of the knob. That's what you hear. That's what the click is you're hearing when it gets pushed through. It's click, click, either side, and actually that's already pretty solid. So just push it up. Okay, so that's the peak installed. Looking like a proper dual sport helmet now. So yeah, let me know what you think of the Rally Striking Orange paint job. Looks nice. I think it's kind of geared towards us KTM customers, if I'm honest, but I have no problem with that. So plans are, folks, run it on the road for a couple thousand kilometers, run it off road for as much as I can, and actually let me make sure it's tightened up. Yeah, there you go. And then come back and give an actual real world review on how I'm getting on. Actually, one thing I'm noticing straight away, that venting might be awkward to get at with gloves. We shall see. So, yeah, what'll do, I get the visor taken off, I'll install the pin lock, I'll start running it on the road, and I'll come back to you in a couple of thousand kilometers and let you know how I'm getting on, if I think it's worth the price tag. Again, if you're doing your research, there are a couple of things about this that just make it stand out. Like the carbon fiber construction is nice, but it's not the only helmet to be made out of carbon fiber. The coil system is particularly interesting. That's just appealing to the technology nerd within me. The fidlock system is kind of what I'm really looking forward to using, as sad as that sounds. But this really looks like and sounds like something that, you know, you'd want to see on more helmets going forward. I do think it's a patented system. I'm not sure if Klim hold the patent or they just pay to use it. But yeah, it sounds like one of those things that you're going to wonder how no one did it before. Actually, just on that point about using the transition lens with the peak installed, there is actually a warning on the transition lens shield here. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but warning, use of the transition lens face shield is only for use in street mode. Use with the peak visor is not recommended due to the potential for uneven tint level while riding. So that's again, that light coming through those gaps in the peak itself. So here comes a really satisfying bit of removing a sticker off something brand new. So we just oh yeah. Spotlessly clean lens shield. It's funny actually, I swapped out visor on one of my old RIs a while back, and it's not until you actually hold up the old visor with the brand new visor that you notice how bad your old visor is for scratches and just bits of buffing. Okay, last thing we'll do, so folks, is a quick fit test and just see how the vision is out of the shield, although I'm expecting it to be great because, I mean, look at the size of it, it's massive. Okay, fit's not bad. So now let's try out this fidlock system. Where are we? Okay. And so have the tab, drag it towards it. Done. That was really easy. Okay, and now opening it, grab the little red tab and pull, and that's it. Wow, that is a piece of cake. Okay. Yeah, as expected, the vision is excellent. I mean, it's a massive field of view. It's actually, it reminds me of my helmet I have for track, the LS2 ROC, the carbon one. Massive visor, massive field of view as well. As you all know, vision can be the difference in a motorcycle helmet. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking completely left to right, and I can just about see the pin lock knobbins when I'm looking fully left to right. So interested to see what that's like when I get the pin lock installed and if it interferes with that field of view at all. Okay. Tiny little chin curtain there as well, just to help with street riding. Okay, folks, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're interested in hearing how I get on with the Krios Pro, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'll follow back up in whenever it takes me to get a couple of 1,000 kilometers under my belt with the Krios Pro on my head. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. We do read every single one of them. We try to reply to everything. Yeah, other than that, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.